What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick Chapla, founder of POWLAX and creator of POWLAX Master Coach. And in this video, I'm thrilled to share with you guys 2 plays that we like to run out of our trailer transition situations. So transition situations are extremely important in lacrosse, and they are the cause of 80% of all goals. So it's really important that as coaches, we learn how to coach these situations really well. And probably the most important thing is that we don't pigeonhole our players into thinking that the only transition we can create is within the general fast break. So when we're thinking about creating transition offense, we've got to understand that any one of our players who can get to our offensive end before our opponent's defenseman can get in will create an advantage. And that's exactly what we're going to do here with the trailer situations. So a trailer situation is achieved when one of our players is carrying the ball in and he's covered by one of their defensemen. But the next player of ours who is running in is uncovered. And so we're essentially creating a 5-on-4 advantage, much like a fast break creates a 4-on-3 advantage. And so we're going to go over 2 plays that we can run out of this trailer situation, and the first is going to be a little more cautious than the second, but they're both going to show you how we can exploit this situation. It's good to keep in mind that as we're moving through our transition sets, that our attackmen and our midfielders need to just recognize that they have the advantage and learn how to take advantage of them, and they can use these plays or almost any other type of play within this. So let's get over to the green screen. We'll show you guys how to set it up and how we're going to attack with this set. The first thing we're going to have to assess is how our attackmen are going to set up when the ball is on the defensive end. A1 is going to be our righty, and he's going to be on the right side of the field at the midline. A2 will be our lefty, and he's going to be on the midline to the left side. We want our players to be at the midline because if a ball is rolling to the midline, we want to make sure that they can make a play on the ball. Our third attackman will stand about 10 to 15 yards behind the midfield line in the middle, waiting to make a play on the ball if the ball rolls through A1 or A2. As the ball comes down in transition or on a clear, all of these players are going to drop straight down and then react to what happens. Depending on the situation, it can be the attack's job to see and make calls as to which transition situation we are in so everyone knows what we're going to run when we get down the field. To create this trailer situation, we are going to have M1 carry the ball down the field guarded by defensive midi 1, and M2 will be following him uncovered. As M1 carries, he must pick a side and not run down the middle of the field. The rules for the attack in this situation are: whichever attackman is on the same side as where the midi is running, he is going to be pushed low. The opposite side attackman stays high as the point, and the low player goes to the opposite side of the field and low. This way our players will stay spaced and will be able to attack from either side depending on the situation. To create our advantage, M2 will follow to the middle of the field and become our 5th player to their 4, and this is what's going to create our advantage. In the trailer set, A2 and A3 should pinch a little bit closer to the goal, and A1 will drop down to the high wing rather than being up top, giving M2 a little more room to operate. We should be in about a pentagon pattern if we are in our trailer situation. Now that we understand exactly how our offense is going to get into this situation, it's important to go over some defensive concepts that our defenders will use in this situation. The first thing that they're going to have to do is recognize who is coming into our defensive zone, because if you don't recognize that they're coming in, you might not know that you have to defend them. So in our situation, when M1 carries to the right side, defended by defensive midi 1, and M2 trails him to the middle, D1, D2, and D3 have to be aware that M1 is coming down the field uncovered, because if the ball is thrown back to him, D1 will have to rotate, and that will initiate our rotation that we would use within our man-down defense or our fast break defense. And so it's important that we understand exactly, who is coming into the defensive end so that we can defend them properly. So we're not going to go into all of the elements of exactly how we're going to do these rotations. If you want to check out another video about those rotations specifically, you can check out the fast break video on POWLAXmastercoach.com or the 5-man or 4-man man-down defensive videos. Offensively, I like to attack in this situation in 2 ways. The first is a little more conservative. The second is a little more gung-ho and really transition oriented. But so the key to these situations, and you can modify these as you see fit, is to make sure that you're using the same type of elements in your fast break that you are in your slow break that you are in your trailer situation, so that players don't have to think through 20 different concepts within these 3 different plays, so that we can make it easier for them to understand and they will become better at running them. A real huge key to any offensive concept is it doesn't really matter what you run, just that everybody's on the same page and that you guys can run it quickly to beat the defensive team. So now let's get into exactly what we're going to see in our more cautious trailer situation. M1 will carry the ball to the right half of the field, drawing defensive midi 1 out wide and throw back to M2, cutting the middle. Now we are in our 5-on-4 situation and we have to read and react to what happens. As M2 catches the ball, he will go to the goal and score if no one slides. If somebody does slide, he's going to pass to the player who that player was guarding. So if D1 slides, he will hit A1. If D2 slides, he will hit A2. And if D3 slides, he will hit A3. D1 will most likely slide, and he will hit A1. A1 can look through to A2 to score, and then down to A3. Defensively, D3 should slide here, so in our example, A1 will pass to A3, who is moving up the hash. A3 can look through to M2, M1, A2, and then look to score. He doesn't have to make all of these looks, but that's who he will see in his vision as the progression goes. D2 should slide here, and if we've done this fast enough, A2 should be open, moving up the left hash and to the middle of the field for a dunk. The key to this offensively is drawing a man, seeing the field, and taking great shots when they present themselves. The second way that I like to attack in this situation is by using picks and then setting cutters. And just as a recommendation and suggestion to you, if you decide to use this type of trailer play, then you should try to use the same types of concepts within your slow break so that your players can understand it more fully and won't have to do so many different things depending on the situation. To run this trailer play, M1 will carry to either side, and in this case he chooses the right. And instead of throwing back to M2, he will throw down to A2, who is coming upfield. Once M1 throws to A2, he's going to go through a 3-step process. First, he's going to cut the middle looking for a give and go, then set a pick on D2 as A2 comes up past him, and once A2 comes past the pick, he's going to slip to the net. M2 will cut right behind M1 and will be open quite often as he cuts. If D1 slides to M2, A1 will cut over the top, and A1, our righty attackman, should get a pretty good shot or be able to look through to M1 or A3. The key to this is that A2 must not try to force passes. If nothing is there, we want to be able to reset and get a good offensive possession. A couple of the ways that I like to implement this trailer situation and all of the other transition situations into our, team psyche and into our game plan is by running 2 separate drills. The first is the Duke skeleton clear drill where, we set up the whole field with just one team and the defense from our defensive half to the midline work on their clears. So the goalie will ally to a defenseman who will hit a midi, and then as the midfielders cross the midline, we will go into whichever one of our offensive transition patterns that we would like to run. So you can run slow breaks, trailers, fast breaks, whatever you really want. The next way we want to, put this into our team is to make sure that there's defensemen, and we do this through a 3-quarter transition drill where we set up middies on the opposite restraining line from where we're trying to score a goal. We've got 3 attackmen, 3 defensemen, and then we send various different types of midi combinations. So maybe you send just one lone midi and you run a fast break, and maybe you send, a trailer situation like we see here. And so using those drills will help your players understand and implement these types of transition plays within your team. Being able to execute in transition on things other than just your fast break offense can bring an entirely new element to the game. I really can't understate the advantage that it gives you to attack a defense when there are no slides set, no rotation set, and it really can, overwhelm a defense, and it can give you some great momentum if you learn to do it correctly. Now, the drawback to this fast-paced transition style is that players are going to turn the ball over, taking chances, making feeds, and just playing as fast as they can. But if you can spend the time to give players an understanding and a good picture of exactly how this should work, I think the benefits far outweigh the disadvantages of at least putting in some of these transition concepts and transition plays. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video on the trailer transition situation. If you guys have any questions, comments for me, please feel free to email me at patrick@powlax.com. Make sure to check out the other transition offense videos on powlaxmastercoach.com. If you like this video, make sure to share it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.